We're going to go to what I like to think of as the most glamorous phase of the afternoon now, indeed possibly of the whole day, because we're going to talk about commercial vehicles. And I'm going to do it for a brief quarter of an hour or so with the Managing Director of DAF Leyland Trucks, Phil Jones. And Phil, I'm going to invite you straight away to come onto the stage.
Thank you very much.
Have a seat. It is the most glamorous side of the whole business.
Of course it is, of course it is.
And tell us, because you're actually, I was going to say you, as if it was you personally, but it's not you personally celebrating 130 years, but it is incredibly, it is the business.
It is, yeah. We're extremely proud to be a UK manufacturer, to be manufacturing trucks in the town of Leyland now for 130 years. We celebrated just this weekend with an open site for our local community. And that's what we think we are. We have that community expertise of how to build trucks. We've got families who've got multiple generations working on site, and I think our proudest record is we've got the 5th generation of one family working at Leyland.
5th.
So, you know, we heard Kieran talk about supply chain resilience, and we've had our ups and downs over the years at Leyland, and I'm sure many people are aware of that, but we're still around and going extremely strong.
5th generation, I'm thinking steam vehicles or something.
Well, you talk about...
Not EVs.
No, exactly. You talk about technology. We started with steam, and that's where we trace our roots back to at the blacksmith shop in Leyland. Then we moved to petrol when vehicles could go faster than behind the person with the flag. Right. Then diesels kicked in because of their efficiency and torque and power to move bigger loads. We fitted our first HV battery to a truck over 25 years ago. So we've been through the different product developments as well. We understand what's out there, and that's why we're super optimistic for whatever comes next. We're ready for it.
It's interesting you mentioned that about so you had to have a person with a flag in front of the thing, and then it's that regulatory change, that legal change. I'm just thinking about autonomous vehicles and the
Absolutely.
Various sort of legal hoops that have to be jumped through quite properly before they become a thing. Actually, it's analogous, isn't it?
Absolutely. It was a very significant moment when the person with the flag, and there was all sorts of which side of the road you drive on, steering wheels in the middle. So that change drove an enormous amount of where we are.
So now what? Or what next, I suppose?
So what next? We are facing the same challenges as we've heard talked about here today. There's no doubt in that. Being in the commercial vehicle sector, we're a little bit behind that. We are the only major truck manufacturer in the UK. Sometimes our voice gets drowned out behind past cars and vans. But we face the same issues and the same risks. And in order to continue to keep manufacturing in the UK, we have to have those addressed as well for our sector uniquely. And there, you know, I think Constanza referenced them earlier. There's the manufacturing cost. So as we look at our manufacturing cost base, as a business, what I can control is I can control the quality of the output and the efficiency at which we operate at. But the cost environment that I'm asked to operate within, and I think it was referenced before on a couple of presentations on energy, etc., regulations and stuff. We need to trade risks. This whole this whole tariff thing on EV batteries is a particular risk to the model, the way we distribute our products across our European plants, and the expertise we have in the UK at the Leyland plant. And so we need that resolving right now. We have a little bit of time to get there because the EV market for trucks is still way behind where it is on cars. And we need the regulatory sort of certainty in which to operate so that, you know, my Dutch colleagues, as part of our wider global group, you know, delight in telling me that, well, it was your choice, you left the EU, and that's why. Absolutely, yeah. And I think I was there on the day it was announced as well, and they remind me of it constantly. So we need that sorting out because we need to understand it. Because if we've got a European investment case for investment into the UK, we have to be able to show that there are no tariff regulatory risks of investing in the UK over, say, a European plant.
And when it comes to regulation here, you've got this CO2
framework, yeah.
framework thing that is what the consultation's over, but you don't yet know what's happening. What's the deal there?
Correct. So this is the truck world's ZEV mandate, effectively. In Truckland, the goal is to improve fleet emissions by 15% by 2025. So we're at that point, and 30% by 2030. That was a carryover legislation from pre-Brexit, and the EU have moved on. They've increased their desired reductions, and the UK government has consulted on what should the UK do. Should it match? Should it change the current legislation? Right. And there's a few different scenarios on there. What we want out of that, and I think the UK government has the choice now to do that. We want the government to learn from the ZEV mandate and the challenges that has presented, because it certainly has been very troublesome. And when I've sat on SMMT events and the Auto Council, you know, it is a hot topic of conversation. We just do not need to take the truck industry through that same learning curve as we move forward. We have invested huge amounts of money in product. We believe we have an electric truck for most applications. We've invested hugely in capacity with support of things like Drive 35, has got us to a position, and probably we need to continue that work as volume kicks in. So we have done, you know, the OEs have got behind the carbon reduction. I think we've heard it widely today. You know, everybody, as an industry, we're behind carbon reduction. But what we need is some sort of sensible pathway to that. And we also need the market enablers to come through. And that could be charging access. So I think it came up just before. Yeah. It's not been a topic of debate for today. No. But I can assure you, if you drive your truck and park at a car charger, that's seen as a bad thing. But yet you know, the network for truck charging is not there. Our customers are finding it very difficult to get live connections into their operational sites. In some cases, it's taking up to 2 years. They can get half the power they need to run the 20 trucks out of their depot. So there's still lots of things that are causing barriers to our customers making that change. Yeah. And that's why we think it's slow. And there's obviously the product is still very expensive as well, compared to diesel.
So if you're sort of mapping the route that the government should be taking, what is it? I mean, in a sense, you've kind of slightly answered that, haven't you, with the structure and the infrastructure. But what else? What do they need to be bearing in mind?
Yeah, the glide path for reduced emissions is, I think we all share. The mandated steps along the way need to be challenging, but need to be achievable. And we need to see things that enable the market to want to buy electric vehicles. Yeah. And for the market to want to buy electric vehicles, they need to see it as a cost advantage over their current fleet. And if they don't, you know, the logistics industry is a very tough business to be in. Margins are very low. You have to be able to operate efficiently in there, or you simply don't win the contract. So no one's going to do it on this is a great idea basis, but it's going to cost some more money. No one's, you know, very, very few people will pay 5p more for their pint of milk in the supermarket because it came on an electric truck. So we have to find the total cost of ownership models that allow electric trucks to move forward. And there are examples of different ways that's happening around Europe. Scandinavia doing certain government incentives. The Germans have got their road toll system, which is kind of driving it. The Dutch tomorrow introduce a road toll system. What we're very careful at DAF not to do is to prescribe and move the problem to our customers. We want there to be a fair operating environment for our customers to operate in. Yeah. Any dramatic shift that sort of mandates it at any moment in time, we are very concerned will drive a real distortion of the market. Now, and we see it before technology changes, there's a pre-buy and things like that. As the manufacturer, if nobody buys a new truck for a couple of years because they're going to buy a load of diesels and run them into the ground till everybody has to change, because that's the only way to win a logistics contract, that's no good for me manufacturing in the UK. So it's it's a fine balance, but there needs to be a commercially viable reason to take commercial vehicles, electric commercial vehicles, if indeed electric is the only solution.
What about exports, and specifically to Europe? Because you've got a bit of kind of slight cliff edge, haven't you, coming up in, is it January next year?
January 1, yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it was touched on earlier, the Brexit deal, the TCA, mandates the next step change. There was kind of a two-stage process. Step 2 got effectively cancelled, and now we hit step 3 straight away. And the reason it affects us is up at Leyland, in our plant, we specialise particularly in our brand for rigid vehicles, and for some peculiarity in the regs, if you dive into the tariff regulations, rigid electric vehicles seem to be the most significantly punished vehicle. We export to over 40 countries around the world from our site in Leyland, and we want to continue that. We don't want to have to not be able to produce those trucks in Leyland and teach our counterparts in the EU how to build those trucks, because that, don't want to sound dramatic, but that's kind of a recipe for exporting jobs, and that's not what we want to do. We think we have that expertise and we can do it competitively.
What have they got against rigid vehicles? I like my vehicles to be quite rigid.
Yeah.
But then I'm not an expert.
Sorry, yeah. Rigid versus tractor units. So those that tow trailers, I think the legislation was written, I don't know, maybe Constanza's better to answer this, but it was probably 10, 15 years ago. And I think the view at the time, this is me speculating now, was that vehicles delivering round town, so smaller streets, narrower streets, would tend to be the vehicle that has the box body on the back of it, delivering the food to the pub, to the supermarket, to the clothes stores. And they would be the vehicles that potentially would move to electric or non-diesel first. Yeah. What's happening, though, is to get a payback on running your truck, then the best way to do that at the moment is to use homegrown electricity somehow back at base and do miles, because the cost of diesel is going up, and you can then therefore start to justify a saving. So it's kind of a strange nuance in the regs. Either way, it's written in, and we're working closely through the SMMT and government to make sure we don't hit this cliff edge.
Is that potentially something that comes up in the summit that we were talking about earlier? Absolutely. On the delays? When we were saying, because I mean, there is, politically speaking, we so often concentrate on the sort of big picture, and the big picture is not going to change an awful lot, is it? And the word incremental was used, etc. But actually, it's interesting for you and for your specific concerns. It could matter a lot.
It does. It's the detail that matters.
Yeah.
Our expertise in Leyland that we've developed over the years is we can produce trucks of any length within the rules and regulations. So every truck we make is built to order, and we're very, very good at being efficient and flexible in that space. The downside is it seems to be the chosen specification that has been called out in the TCA that we want to avoid. And we heard earlier, I think it was my colleagues from the bus sector saying, all batteries do come out of, or all cells are coming out of China, and it's not going to change anytime soon. We heard from Agritas how long it takes to put together a cell plant, and it
was really interesting, that, wasn't it? And that whole business of inward investment and what we do to encourage it. I mean, if you were in the room with a minister, which you have been, what do you tell them?
We tell them that a very similar message, but customised to our own story. Energy costs, particularly if we're going to go electric, is important to us. We're looking forward to see what comes out. It's taken a while to come in. The industrial strategy is good for us. We like that strategic framework, and how that progresses and we can work within is good, and we hope that continues forward. But this trading situation with the EU Act and this tariff situation needs to be resolved. We need to take away those risks so that investment can flow into the UK.
Yeah. And on autonomous, the subject of the last discussion, how close are we to trucks plying the motorways with no one in them?
Probably some time away on the commercial highway. We talk about connected autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
connected is very important to the logistics sector, and as vehicles have been connected for an awful long time, route planning, ETAs for service providers, etc., etc. So that connected, I think we're there. We're looking how to build it into the truck. How can it get real-life truck data? So that's the next added value, and we're pretty much there on that one as well. Autonomous is a slightly different challenge for all the complexities of the car people are working through at the moment. There are trucks in operation in quarries, ports. Yeah. We're part of a wider US organisation, and we have autonomous trucks running in the port of San Francisco right now, and on trial over our technical centre in the Netherlands. How soon do they come to UK roads? A little while, yeah, I suspect.
Phil Jones, thanks so much. Thank you all. Huge round of applause for Phil. Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Phil. Brilliant.